Chapter 1498. I'm not angry. Gu Meng Meng was at a loss. Snake gritted his teeth and said, "If you're not angry, why do you have to hide our relationship? I tolerated it when you didn't allow me to say that I know you in school, but now that you've agreed to be my girlfriend, why do you have to make me look like a shameful wild man? Gu Meng Meng, did I embarrass you so much to admit that we're a couple and make it so difficult for you? Are you so unwilling to let others know that I'm your man?" No. Gu Meng Meng was forced back step by Snake's aura. She was extremely timid. Snake forced Gu Meng Meng to a corner and pulled her into his arms a second before she could lean against the wall. He frowned and said, "The wall is cold, don't lean against it. Stick to me." With that, he turned around and leaned against the wall himself. Then, he locked Gu Meng Meng in his arms and continued to ask in a condescending manner, "Since there's no such thing, why don't you let me wear clothes with your name embroidered on it?" Gu Meng Meng was stunned for 2 seconds before she realized what Snake was doing. She was speechless for a moment and even laughed at him. "What are you laughing at? I'm talking about a serious question." Gu Meng Meng shook her head and said, "I'm holding your arm to attend this kind of event. Who wouldn't know about our relationship? Do I have to use a word to explain it?" "I do." Snake insisted, "I want everyone to know that I'm yours the moment they see me, especially those females. Tisk, do you think you're filming Animal World?" "Females?" Gu Meng Meng smiled nonchalantly and said, "I'm saying that as a CEO, you'll be laughed at if you always wear the word Meng on your chest. How is this trying to hide our relationship? I'm Snake, who dares to laugh at me?" Snake raised his head and said arrogantly. Gu Meng Meng sighed helplessly and said, all right. If you don't want to change then so be it." Gu Meng Meng's hand gently touched the word on Snake's chest. Although it was childish, but it was undeniable that it gave Gu Meng Meng a sense of security. Only then did Snake's expression soften. He pinched Gu Meng Meng's chin and warned, "Don't try to hide our relationship. I want to stand with you openly. I want the whole world to know that you are mine. I will kill whoever dares to covet you. I also want the whole world to know that I'm yours. Whoever dares to lean on me, I'll kill their entire family." Gu Meng Meng felt that Snake's words were full of Chuyuni. She only treated it as a joke and did not take it seriously. This was because she still didn't know how he had dealt with Mo Bebe, nor did she know what had happened to her scumbag father. She only knew that Snake had money and power, but she didn't know that for her, Snake could fulfill every word he said. Snake was unwilling to let Gu Meng Meng sit in someone else's car. Only he could be responsible for her safety. Therefore, when the limited edition supercar appeared at the media meeting, it caused an uproar. This mysterious CEO of Monster Corporation rarely made public appearances like this. The first time he was exposed to the media was at the press conference for his abdication, but when the car door opened, the media were stunned. The handsome prince stepped down from the supercar with his 49 inches long legs. He opened the door of the passenger seat with a radiant smile on his face. He was like an elegant ancient European knight holding the princess's hand as they alighted from the pumpkin carriage. The little princess's face was filled with innocence. Anyone who saw her would want to protect her. When the two of them stood together, it was like a beautiful fairy tale. Was it really a press conference for the CEO's abdication and not an engagement ceremony? Aside from the topic, today's update has ended. Regarding Gregory, everyone can rest easy. Don't be too upset. He's not dead. Chapter 1499. At the so-called media conference, Snake and Gu Meng Meng only showed their faces and allowed the reporters to take a few photos. The rest of the public relations were handled by the company's legal department and public relations department, so Snake did not have to worry about it. Inside the venue, it was the gathering of the so-called upper class. Although the Monster Company was nothing in Snake's eyes, it was already one of the top enterprises in the province. Not to mention how many people in City S had to bow down to it to make a living. Even the most influential people in the province had some form of business dealings with the Monster Company. So, a major event like changing the CEO was like an earthquake to S City, so they naturally had to attend and observe the situation. On the other hand, it was because the previous CEO of the Monster Company was too mysterious. After working together for so many years, everyone was extremely curious about his identity. How to put it, it was as if someone was strangling you by the throat, telling you to live or die, but you had never even seen the person strangling you, so anyone would be curious. So when Snake held Gu Mingming's hand and appeared in front of everyone, it inevitably caused an uproar. Who would have thought that the person who could beat up a group of experienced people to the point where they could not retaliate was a young lad in his 20s? How was there any sign of him being immature when he was so ruthless in the business world? He was clearly a wily old fox, a troublemaker. Snake did not care about what others thought, he just held Gu Mingming's hand and walked directly to the food supply area. He picked a snack for Gu Mengmeng and said, "Eat it if you want, why are you just looking?" Gu Mengmeng asked in surprise, "There are so many snacks here, how did you know that I want to eat this? Do you know how to read minds?" Snake chuckled and rubbed Gu Mingming's little head dotingly, saying, "I don't know how to read minds, but I can recognize the look you like, because you look at me like that occasionally." Gu Mengmeng blushed and lowered her head to take a bite of the snack. From the corner of her eye, she saw someone trying to come forward to talk to Snake, but was blocked by the assistant behind him. All the social interactions were handled by the assistant, not giving anyone any chance to approach Snake. Gu Mengmeng felt that this was not very good, so she said softly, "I can just eat here, you can go and socialize, don't worry about me." Socializing? Snakel looked at Gu Mengmeng in surprise. He turned around to glance at the person who was trying to get closer to strike up a conversation. Without stopping, he looked back at Gu Mingming's face and pinched her little face, saying, "I am not here to socialize today, I am here to accompany you. We're together every day, do we still need someone to accompany us?" Gu Mengmeng mumbled in disapproval. Chapter 1500. "Yes, I will take care of it," Snake's assistant replied succinctly. He did not even ask why it was not good, before turning around to negotiate with the organizer. After that, the cake shop that was supposed to receive a lot of praise for hosting the Monster Company's press conference disappeared overnight. It ceased all activities in S City and not a single branch could be found. The reason was, the quality of the cake was not up to standard and it choked the precious daughter of the Monster Company's owner. Let's not talk about this for now. They would only talk about how Gu Mengmeng locked herself in the cubicle after entering the washroom. Her heart was beating wildly at first, but now she could foresee her tragic ending. It's time to wake up from Cinderella's dream. Snake could love her, pamper her and indulge her, but his parents would never agree to him dating a worthless and down-and-out girl like her. That's right, if she was Snake's mother, she would not like her either. Snake was blinded by love and looked at her no matter what, but his parents, on such an occasion and with so many reporters at the entrance, if there was some scandal of Cinderella's dream of becoming a wealthy family being shattered, wouldn't there be a huge uproar? She was just a nobody and people would quickly forget about her, but Snake would definitely be criticized by others. Moreover, with Snake's stubbornness towards her, he would definitely go against his parents for her and things would get out of hand. Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip and patted her face. She tried her best to smile and tell herself, "It's all right, I've already been very happy during this period of time." One should not be too greedy or they would suffer retribution. With that thought, Gu Mengmeng gathered her emotions and prepared to push open the door to wash her face. Then, she would borrow a set of clothes from the cleaning lady and sneak away before things got out of hand. But she realized that the cubicle door had been blocked from the outside. Gu Mengmeng tried to push it open but to no avail. Then, a voice altered by a voice changer came from outside the door. My parents divorced when I was 4 and my parents remarried. A burden that no one wants. How dare you get involved with Snake? Trash should stay in trash places, don't have any wishful thinking. With that, a basin of dirty water poured down from above her head. Gu Meng Meng could not dodge in time and her head was drenched. If she was a girl from a normal family, she would have curled up in a corner, trembling and crying for help. But just like what the other party had said, Gu Meng Meng was a burden that no one wanted. She had long recognized the fact that no matter how miserable she was, no one would come to save her. She could only count on herself. So Gu Meng Meng lifted her leg and gave the door a hard kick. One side of the door handle was firmly blocked, but the other side of the lotus leaf was not so sturdy. With the first kick, the loud sound scared the people at the door. Before they could react, the second kick followed. Then the door flew out with a bang. The people at the door were so shocked that they forgot to escape. Still holding the voice changer in their hands, they stared at Gu Meng Meng in a daze. Without a second word, Gu Meng Meng grabbed the other party's hair and knocked her down. Then, riding on her back, she slapped the voice changer so hard that it flew away. Gu Meng Meng's eyes were bloodshot from crying. She glared at the woman she was riding on fiercely and said, "Don't use those childish methods of school bullying to deal with me. Splashing dirty water and locking toilets is something that only people play in junior high. I will leave Snake, but not because of your threats. You are not worthy." Aside. Chapter 1501. Just as Gu Meng Meng raised her arm to give the woman a second slap, her wrist was grabbed. Gu Meng Meng looked up abruptly. The person holding onto her wrist was none other than Snake. His thin lips were pursed and his gaze was sharp. His entire gaze was locked onto her, not giving a single glance to anyone else. But his gaze was filled with disappointment, sadness, and anger. Gu Meng Meng chuckled. Yes, he should be angry. What kind of occasion was this? He had brought her here, but she had dirted herself all over. Now, she was even riding on someone else's body to fight like a shrew. If it was her, she would also be disappointed and angry. Gu Meng Meng pulled her arm away, but Snake did not let go. Instead, he tugged forcefully and pulled Gu Meng Meng into his arms. He did not seem to care that the filth on her body would land on him. He just locked her tightly in his arms and went up to the second floor without a word. The socialite who had been slapped finally reacted and started bawling loudly, as if she had suffered a great grievance. But she did not cry for long before she was forcefully taken away by the security guards and locked in the storeroom, as if awaiting trial. Snake brought Gu Meng Meng to the exclusive resting room on the second floor. Although it was called a resting room, the interior design was actually very similar to a hotel's presidential suite. It was a place for guests to rest after getting drunk, so it was fully equipped with a bathroom and everything else. Snake placed Gu Meng Meng in the huge bathtub and adjusted the temperature to turn on the water. Then, he started taking off her clothes without saying a word. Gu Meng Meng crossed her arms and looked at Snake warily. "What are you doing? Not washing? Do you want to stay dirty? Don't you feel uncomfortable?" Snake avoided Gu Meng Meng's eyes and stared fixedly at the dress that was stained by the dirty water. Gu Meng Meng pushed Snake and said, "I will wash myself, you can go out first." Snake's body froze and did not move. After a while, he suddenly laughed coldly and said, "I will go out. And then? So that you can take the chance to leave me." Gu Meng Meng was stunned. She knew that Snake was angry, but she did not expect that the reason for his anger was because he heard her say that she wanted to leave him. Lowering her head, she took a deep breath and said, "Snake, let's break up." Snake acted as if he did not hear anything, but the veins on his temples throbbed and his chest rose and fell violently. He gritted his teeth and said, "Shower first." "Snake!" Gu Meng Meng roared. Snake looked up, his green eyes darkening. He was angry, really angry. I told you, what are you going to call me? Snakel pinched Gu Mingming's chin with one hand and said with a cold expression, don't make me angry, just call me properly. As long as you are obedient. I can pretend that nothing happened just now. I heard everything and you didn't say anything. Gu Mingming's face was cold as ice. Gu Mingming's chin was hurting from being pinched, but how could it be more painful than her heart? She had been telling herself from the start that Snake was not from the same world as her and that she would eventually lose him. But she couldn't control her heart, and she still sank into his love. After drifting for more than 10 years without anyone to rely on, she finally had someone to rely on. It was like a drowning person grabbing onto a life-saving straw. Asking her to leave him now was as painful as gouging out her heart. Chapter 1502. We belong to two different worlds, we don't have a future. Wake up, it's better for everyone if I leave. Gu Mingming's tears fell uncontrollably from the corners of her eyes, her sorrowful gaze making Snake's heart wrench. He hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly in his arms, whispering into her ear, I know, we belong to two different worlds. So I came to your world to find you, I came to your world to wait for you. You clearly like me too, don't you? Why do you have to leave? Snake's voice was trembling, every word sounding so heavy in Gu Mingming's ears. Gu Mengmeng sniffled, your parents are here. They won't agree to us being together, I don't want to see you get hurt for me, that's why I left. Snake's back stiffened, then he suddenly smiled, holding onto Gu Mingming's shoulders, squinting his eyes at her, so you want to leave? Gu Mengmeng nodded, not daring to look into Snake's eyes. Snake heaved a long sigh, he was really furious, so furious that his eyes were about to crack open, but he could not do anything to her. He really wanted to crack open her head to see what was inside. He knew without a need to crack. You watched too many television dramas. Snake gritted his teeth, from today onwards, you are forbidden from watching those useless romance novels and messy television dramas. Gu Mengmeng was confused, weren't they talking about breaking up? Wasn't the atmosphere so heavy just now? What did it have to do with romance novels and television dramas? Romance novels and television dramas were innocent. Snake narrowed his eyes, do you think my parents will throw a check at your face to make you leave me? Gu Mengmeng was taken aback, then nodded. Do you think my mum will splash water at you? Snake asked again. Gu Mengmeng nodded again. With every nod from Gu Mengmeng, Snake's cold smile grew wider, then he asked again, do you think if you don't break up with me, my parents will put me under house arrest? Then I will go on a hunger strike, my parents will use your safety to threaten me, forcing me to compromise. In the end, I will have no choice but to follow my family's wishes and marry someone I don't like, then we will be strangers, never to meet again, right? Gu Mengmeng blushed and nodded again. Snake lifted his hand, really wanting to strangle her. Unfortunately, he could not bear to do so. In the end, he only knocked on her forehead and said, are you comparing me to those useless trash in novels? Gu Mengmeng was stunned. She could not keep up with Snake's pace. Snake pinched the space between his brows and said, I know your desire for kinship, so I want to introduce you to my parents. After all, when we get married in the future, they will be your family. I want to make up for the regrets in your family. I want to be loved and protected by my parents like everyone else. Let's not talk about this first. You'll understand later. Gu Mengmeng was still in a daze and could only stare blankly at Snake. Snake continued, in your eyes, am I a useless piece of trash? Gu Mengmeng wanted to nod her head out of habit, but after receiving Snake's gaze, she immediately snapped back to reality and shook her head. Snake sighed heavily before saying, do you think I will allow someone to throw a check at you? Splash water on you? Then, you put me under house arrest and bullied you. Chapter 1503. Snake was really speechless. He could not explain to Gu Mengmeng what kind of preparations he had made in the 19 years he had been waiting for her. All the obstacles in their way had long been cleared by him. There was no one in the entire family who dared to criticize Snake. He was the pillar of the entire family. Snake's words, "It's easy to let a family prosper, but it's even easier to destroy a family," had been a constant reminder to everyone in the family. In the past 19 years, Snake had become the absolute truth in the family. Everything he did was correct. So the woman he liked was the goddess of the entire family. The melodramatic plot that Gu Mengmeng was worried about would never happen. But he could not reveal his identity to Gu Mengmeng for the time being. "Take a bath. I'll bring you to watch a show after you're clean." Snake tore Gu Mengmeng's clothes and threw them to the side without any hesitation. Seeing how Gu Mengmeng was trying to cover up in embarrassment, he said coldly, "You will be mine sooner or later, why are you blocking me?" Gu Mengmeng's face was so red that it looked like blood was about to drip out. But she could not struggle against Snake. In the end, she could only helplessly allow Snake to wash her inside and out. Then, he wrapped her up in a large bath towel and placed her beside the dressing table. He used a small hair dryer to blow her hair. This was not the first time Snake had bathed Gu Mengmeng. He had bathed her once in the beast world. But that time, she was poisoned by his snake venom. Not to mention struggling, it was questionable if she could even breathe. So the bath was very smooth that time. But today, the more she struggled, the more obvious his reaction was. Using Gu Mengmeng's words, he was a 1,000-year snake demon who had lived 2 lifetimes. Yet, he was tormented by her in a bathtub like a young boy. Gu Mengmeng's face was as red as a ripe apple. She curled up there and let him blow dry her hair. She looked so pitiful that she was about to cry. It was really lovable. Snake squatted down and peeked her little face out of the bath towel. "If you feel that you're at a disadvantage, let's go back to the bathroom. I'll strip myself naked for you to wash back, all right?" Gu Mengmeng's face turned even redder. She stiffened her neck and turned her face to the other side. She did not want to look at Snake. Snake smiled and said, "You hurt my heart by casually saying that you want to break up, and you have no intention of coaxing me. So I took my own benefits to make up for it. You have no right to be angry, understand?" Snake pinched Gu Mengmeng's little chin and turned her face towards him. "It's not that you can't escape when you meet with a tricky situation, but you can only escape into my arms. If you dare to have any thoughts of leaving me again, no matter what the reason is, I will take care of you on the spot, and then tie you up to get your marriage certificate. Do you hear me?" Gu Mengmeng hesitated, not daring to nod. Snake took a deep breath and said patiently, "Gu Mengmeng, listen carefully. You are mine and can only be mine. Don't even mention the fact that you can't escape from me. Even if you do, I'll turn the world upside down to find you. Besides, you have my mark on you. No one in this world would dare to hide you. The whole world will send you back for me. Do you understand?" Gu Mengmeng felt aggrieved. Why did it sound like he was threatening her? Chapter 1504. Seeing how Gu Mengmeng refused to express her stance, Snake felt helpless. He could resolve a financial crisis worth tens of billions within 3 days, make his competitors fall from the clouds into the mud within 3 hours, and make Monster Company stocks rise to the upper limit within 3 minutes, creating billions of profits for the company. But he could not make this little person in front of him say that she would not leave him. In this world, the only opponent he could not defeat was probably her. Helplessly holding onto Gu Mengmeng's shoulders, he turned her towards him and said as if surrendering, "You were the one who wanted to abandon me, shouldn't I be the one who should be angry?" Gu Mengmeng's heart ached as she muttered softly, "I did not want to abandon you. I only wanted to let you go." She finally opened her mouth and Snake felt a little relieved. Gu Meng Meng looked at Snake and felt her nose sting. Feeling wronged, she said, who would be willing to give up such a perfect boyfriend like you? I have never been cherished and treasured like this before. Do you know how hard it is to let go? I can't wait to stick to you for the rest of my life, but one cannot be too selfish. You are like the moonlight, only to be looked up to. How can I drag you down from the sky into the mud to suffer in this dirty world with me? I like you so much, so I can't bear to become your flaw. I had to grit my teeth to let you go. I did not abandon you. Snake was stunned as the corners of his lips curled up uncontrollably. He narrowed his eyes and said, "What did you say just now?" Gu Meng Meng said in a daze, "I said, I did not abandon you." The previous sentence. I had to grit my teeth to let you go. The previous sentence. I can't bear to become your flaw. Snake shook his head and said, "Not this sentence, the previous sentence." Gu Meng Meng thought for a while and said softly with uncertainty, "I like you so much." Snake pulled Gu Meng Meng into his arms and hugged her tightly. He heaved a long sigh of relief, as if the rock pressing on his chest had finally been lifted. He said, "I have waited so long, waiting for you to say that you like me. I have been waiting so long that my heart is anxious. So you are not forced to stay by my side because of the contract, but because you like me, right?" Gu Meng Meng nodded. "Are you an idiot? If she didn't like you, would she let you hug and kiss her whenever you wanted? If I don't like you, I'll let you sleep in my bed. I didn't like it when you were in the bathroom just now. I'd rather kill myself than let you bathe me." The more Snake heard, the more delighted he became. He was overjoyed but did not know how to express it. He could only kiss Gu Meng Meng's lips fiercely, with ecstasy and a tinge of punishment. Ouch, it hurts. Gu Meng Meng's lips were bleeding from Snake's bite. She frowned at Snake and pouted coquettishly. Snake raised his eyebrows and smiled evilly. "Serves you right, who asked you to kidnap my woman? Don't you know that I won't be able to eat, sleep or live without my Tu Meng? How could you be so heartless? You clearly know that my woman likes me too, but you still want to kidnap her. Won't Tu Meng be sad if she leaves me?" Gu Meng Meng lowered her head, feeling a tinge of sweetness in her heart. She nodded and said, "You will be sad, definitely." Chapter 1505. Gu Meng Meng nodded her head obediently. Snake then hugged her in his arms in satisfaction and kissed her little hand gently. He then continued, "You have to remember, I am not like the moonlight that you can see but not touch. I am your boyfriend and I am willing to do anything for you. I also have the ability to protect you. I went through so much trouble to come to your side, not just for you to let me off. Don't belittle yourself in the future. You are not a flaw, you are my life. So, don't ever talk about leaving me again, understand? Things like breaking up. I don't want to hear it a second time. Don't even think about it in the future. But, no buts." Snake gritted his teeth and stared into Gu Meng Meng's eyes. "I can't leave you. Unless you want me to die, you are not allowed to leave me." Gu Meng Meng was stunned for 2 seconds before she suddenly smiled. Seeing her smile, Snake's mood became better. Everything was clear after the storm. Yeah, that was it. If anyone else dared to betray, no, not to mention betray, as long as they dared to go against Snake, they would definitely not have a good ending. But Gu Meng Meng was an exception. She only needed to smile, whisper some gentle words or even cast a glance at him. Snake would surrender in a matter of minutes and the storm would turn into a sunny day. "What are you smiling at?" Tapping Gu Meng Meng's little nose, Snake asked without any temper. Gu Meng Meng cleared her throat. "According to your character as a CEO, shouldn't you say, 'If you dare to leave me, I will kill you'? Why would it be, 'I can't leave you unless you want me to die'? Isn't this if you dare to leave me, I will kill myself in front of you, only used by women. Snake was not annoyed. He just hugged Gu Meng Meng and kissed her. Because I know my own limits. I can't bear to hurt you. Moreover, I have seen you with cuts all over your body. So I know how afraid I am of you getting hurt. But Snake did not say the second sentence out loud. Then won't you be in my clutches in the future? Gu Meng Meng blinked her eyes and asked. Snake nodded his head honestly and said without any hesitation, the only thing I will not give in to you is breaking up. Other than that, I'll do whatever you say. I'll listen to you. You can do whatever you want. Gu Meng Meng lowered her head and said softly, you will spoil me like this. It's better to spoil her. Snake kissed her and said, my woman should be domineering. Gu Meng Meng smiled without saying a word, expressing her helplessness towards Snake's worldview. Snake pulled Gu Meng Meng's chin and said, so, I want you to give me a definite answer. You will not leave me again, right? It depends on your performance. Gu Meng Meng blushed and turned her head away, feeling a little shy. She did not answer yes. Because when she said that, it felt as if she had agreed to marry him, but he clearly hadn't proposed yet. But Gu Meng Meng did not know that her ambiguous answer had dug a big hole for herself. Because from then on, Snake had to follow her even when she went to the toilet. He was afraid that she would climb out of the toilet's ventilation window and escape on a UFO. Chapter 1506. When Snake was bathing Gu Meng Meng, he had already instructed his assistant to fetch another set of gown from the villa. Although there was no makeup team to redo Gu Meng Meng's makeup, Gu Meng Meng was young and had good skin. She looked beautiful even without any makeup. After changing into the new gown, her hair was blown straight by Snake, draping lightly behind her back. When Gu Meng Meng held Snake's hand and walked down from the second floor, the scene downstairs was a little strange. How should she put it? The originally harmonious banquet now looked like a court. An old couple sat on a European-style sofa in the middle of the hall. It was obvious that they were of a certain age, but they weren't old. Their every movement exuded a sense of nobility. The man took out an old pocket watch from his jacket pocket, glanced at it, and then said in Chinese that wasn't too standard, now, an hour has passed. If you cannot give me a satisfactory answer, then, today's matter will be escalated to the national level. I don't know if you can bear the responsibility of insulting the F country's royalty. Gu Meng Meng looked at Snake in a daze. Snake only patted her little hand that was in the crook of his arm, indicating for her to wait and see. Gu Meng Meng nodded obediently and followed Snake to the middle of the hall. Father, mother. Snake was very polite and gentlemanly. To be honest, Snake had never been so polite to these two since he was born. So, when he greeted them so formally, they felt a little flattered. Uncle, auntie. Gu Meng Meng said awkwardly. She looked at the two nobles carefully and wondered if she should run away or just use Snake as a meat shield if they threw something at her. Snake's mother saw Snake's arm and the hand that was gently placed on Gu Meng Meng's hand and instantly understood where her son's respect for them came from. It seemed like Snake really liked this girl. So, a smile bloomed on Snake's mother's face. Just based on this point, this daughter-in-law was a good one to be able to make this iceberg-like son treat them with such respect. If Snake could get along better with his family after marrying her, then this daughter-in-law would be a gift from the heavens. It was no exaggeration to say that Snake's mother was already thinking about which noble her future grandson should hire as a private tutor as she looked at Gu Meng Meng. Come, my precious daughter-in-law. Snake's mother waved at Gu Meng Meng warmly. Gu Meng Meng felt that this development was different from the television series and was a little confused. Snake smiled and nodded. He let go of Gu Meng Meng's hand and let her sit beside his mother obediently. Snake's mother held on to Gu Meng Meng's little hand lovingly and said with a face full of love, "Don't be afraid, mother will stand up for you. Although this isn't F country, we won't let anyone bully our daughter-in-law. That's right. The old gentleman at the side slammed his walking stick on the ground and said, "Our precious daughter-in-law has been humiliated here. You must give us an explanation." Gu Meng Meng was at a loss. So this court-like scene was to help prevent her anger. Who are you interrogating? What kind of humiliation had she suffered? Snakel's lips curled into a smile, not because of anything else, but because Gu Meng Meng did not reject the term daughter-in-law. Chapter 1507. The screen flashed and disappeared in front of her. Gu Meng Meng turned back to look at the beast deity and smiled helplessly. So he met his parents. Don't tell me the next episode will be about him getting married. The beast deity shrugged. I don't know. The children will have their own blessings. Gu Meng Meng was speechless. She shook her head. I'm done watching the show. Father, answer my question. The beast deity nodded. Go ahead. Gu Meng Meng asked, if that legend is true, then Moda Mountains is whale's original form. The beast deity nodded. Gu Meng Meng asked again, what's the relationship between whales and little shit? Little shit clearly said that he had never been to Moda Mountains. But how did he know that there was a snake path there? Elvis said that little shit would go crazy the moment he got close to that mountain. He couldn't control himself no matter what. He even said that something was summoning him. The beast deity hesitated for a moment. Then, he smiled and stroked Gu Meng Meng's hair. Let him tell you these questions himself when he comes back, all right? Gu Meng Meng was stunned for a moment. Then, she smiled and nodded. As long as he's fine, I'm at ease. The beast deity said that little shit could come back and tell her personally. This meant that at least little shit was safe and he could still come back. That was enough. Everyone had their own feelings that they could not control. Gu Meng Meng did not force little shit to tell her everything, and even more so, she could not ask him to place all his burdens on her again. Her relationship with little shit was the type where they would drink and chat merrily when they were free. When they were busy, they would cultivate separately. When they were in trouble, they would risk their lives to accompany each other. She knew that as long as something happened to her, little shit would rush back to help her no matter where he was. And vice versa. Little shit would definitely know that she would do anything for him. He must have his own reasons for leaving without saying goodbye. Since the beast deity said that little shit would come back, she could rest assured. Gu Meng Meng's heart was finally relieved and she felt much better. Tilting her head to look at the beast deity, she leaned against Elvis's chest tiredly and said, Father, you said that the black fog I inhaled when I took the kiss of the ocean was whale's poison, the soul of the forest fused into my body was his blood, the love of the sky was his incarnation, the tear of the beast deity was given to me by Snake and Snake is his son. Why do I feel that all the 7 treasures are related to him? The beast deity smiled without saying a word, only nodding his head. An idea flashed across Gu Meng Meng's mind. She sat up straight and asked, will whales be revived after I gather all 7 treasures? The beast deity's expression froze for a moment. Then, he smiled with some disappointment. His gaze drifted into the distance as if he was thinking about something. After a long time, he finally replied, perhaps. Gu Meng Meng was triggered. She clenched her fists tightly and said, if that's the case, wouldn't Gregory be back soon? The beast deity smiled at Gu Meng Meng. You were so unhappy when I asked you to take him in the previous time. How long has it been? Is he that important now? Gu Meng Meng shook her head and said, Father, you don't understand. My feelings for Gregory is not love. I just don't have the strength to bear the burden of losing human lives one after another. The feeling of sitting back and enjoying the fruits of others' labor, and it's a heavy price at that, is too torturous. One snake has already pushed me to the brink of collapse. If there's another Gregory, I will go crazy. Aside from the topic. Chapter 1508. Gu Meng Meng looked up at Elvis and said with a pleading tone, "Hubby, let's go look for the spirit of the rocky cliffs after we return." "All right." Gregory really wanted to say that they did not have any information on the spirit of the rocky cliffs and did not know how to find him. But looking at Gu Mingming's swollen eyes and hoarse throat, Elvis could not say a word of no. He could only nod his head and say with a doting and heartache smile, "Yes." Gu Meng Meng heaved a sigh of relief and finally relaxed. If she could save Gregory and revive him, then there would always be a chance to make up for what she owed him. That would be good, that would be good. With her heart relaxed, Gu Mingming's brain started to become more active. She looked at the beast deity and asked, "But Wang Xiaoxin has been dead for over 1,000 years. Now that Wales has been revived, it would just be adding another pitiful person to this world." The beast deity smiled with an inscrutable air of a deity. "He just said something that seemed right but was not right. Everything is fated. No matter if it's sorrow or happiness, misfortune or fortune, there will always be a predetermined outcome." Her father rarely kept Gu Meng Meng in suspense. Gu Meng Meng understood that he did not want to say, so she did not force him. She just smiled and said, "Father, if you don't want to say, I won't ask. Don't play official with me, I'm not used to it." "All right." The beast deity looked at Gu Meng Meng lovingly. Seeing that her complexion was much better, he then said, "All right, don't you have all the answers you want? Hurry back, that little fox of yours is quite pitiful to be alone." Gu Meng Meng nodded and hugged the beast deity before saying, "I'll leave first." Elvis carried Gu Meng Meng and descended in a weightless state. He suddenly opened his eyes and met Li's worried gaze. Gu Meng Meng returned a smile and Li's brows slowly relaxed. His gaze also softened. Gu Meng Meng wrapped her arms around Li's neck and said in a hoarse voice, "I've made you worry. It's good that you're fine." Leah conveniently carried Gu Meng Meng to the side to feed her water. Elvis had also been lying down for a few days and needed to exercise his stiff body. Gu Meng Meng turned around and saw that there were indeed many fresh beast skins on the bed. They were of high quality, and just like what she had guessed before she slept, Leah would definitely not let her down on these details. However, this cave was just a temporary shelter. They would leave once they woke up, so there was really no need to prepare so many things. But on second thought, she and Elvis went to the beast deity's place and slept for 4 to 5 days. If she did not let Leah prepare these, he would have to wait. Wouldn't he go crazy waiting? From the 3rd day after Gu Meng Meng fell asleep, the food on the pot never stopped. Leah had been preparing fresh food, and if Gu Meng Meng did not wake up by the time he was done, he would give the food to Oratin and cook again. So when Gu Meng Meng woke up, there would always be something to eat. Leah asked as he fed Gu Meng Meng, "Where are we going now?" Gu Meng Meng thought for a while and said, "Let's go back to Sauter. With that pervert Cole there, I'm afraid that Hedda and his brothers will be at a disadvantage." Elvis and Leah had no objections. They would go wherever she wanted to go. This was the family standard. Chapter 1509. When they came, it was filled with laughter. But when they returned, the atmosphere was a little heavy because Gregory and Wabi were not around. Because of the lack of interest in sightseeing, the 1-month journey only took 20 days to return to Sauter. The atmosphere in Sauter was a little strange. How should she put it? It was too peaceful, so peaceful that it was strange. Based on Cole's temper, he would definitely do something when Gu Meng Meng and Elvis were not around. But when Gu Meng Meng returned, she realized that the tribe was as peaceful as a paradise. Even in the past, the Fox clan and the Wolf clan were always in conflict with each other. Why was it that after her trip to Moda Mountains, it was as if everything had changed? Gu Meng Meng did not return to the stone castle. Instead, she went straight to the meeting room. Hedda, Qi Xian and Jiaoyu knew that Gu Meng Meng had returned and were all waiting for her in the meeting room. Elvis instructed the wild wolves to call the 7 wolves from Sandy's family over, while Leah volunteered to meet Cole. Although Gu Meng Meng was worried that Cole would use his status as the Fox King to pressure Leah, but other than Leah, there was no one else who would not fall into Cole's trap. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead, assuring her that he could retreat unscathed and not let her worry. Only then did Gu Meng Meng nod and allow him to meet Cole. In the meeting room, Qi Xian honestly explained how he had used himself as a bargaining chip to threaten Cole not to act rashly. Gu Meng Meng slammed the table in anger. Before she could say anything, Qi Xian pounced into Gu Mingming's arms and sobbed. "Mom, you don't know how scared I was these few days. Without you around, there's no one to protect me." Sobs, sobs, sobs. A motherless child is so pitiful. I can only hang around with Cole. I was so afraid of that pervert. He's not afraid of death. I almost couldn't see you anymore. Gu Meng Meng was dumbfounded by Qishuan's crying. The scolding she was about to say got stuck in her throat and became, "All right, good boy. Mum is back. With me around, he won't dare to bully you again." "Aw." Qi Xian wiped his non-existent tears and nodded pitifully. He looked as if he had been greatly frightened. Gu Meng Meng could not bear to scold him anymore. After all, he was just a 3-year-old child. Sigh. Qi Xian and Jiaoyu exchanged a look. The first move to deal with their mother, acting pitiful, had succeeded. As for why the Fox clan and Wolf clan suddenly got along with each other, it was an accident. Sandy's family now had a new pet. It was none other than the gentle and flirtatious Arnold. Normally, it wasn't a big deal for a female to have a pet at home, but this female just had to be Sandy, and the pet was Arnold. This made things a little tricky. Gu Meng Meng, the messenger of the beast deity, already had many complaints about the Fox clan. Ever since Cole, the Fox King, was born, they had become even more distant. If Arnold could successfully win over Sandy, he could repair the relationship between the Fox clan and the messenger of the beast deity. If Arnold also impregnated Sandy and successfully became in-laws with Gu Meng Meng, then the relationship between the Fox clan and the messenger of the beast deity would be even more stable. So the Fox clan was afraid of causing trouble and dragging Arnold down, causing Sandy and Arnold to be estranged. Then, all of Arnold's previous efforts would be wasted. After all, Arnold was just a pet now and had yet to enter the next level. So the Fox clan naturally had to restrain themselves and not give the Wolf clan a chance to make a fuss. Aside from the topic, author, Qi Xian, your image as a black-bellied young master has collapsed. Qi Xian, what do you know? As long as my mother doesn't cry, not to mention turning into a whining monster, I can do anything. Chapter 15:10. And the situation at the Wolf clan side was not much better. Arnold might not be Hodgson's match in terms of combat abilities, and he might not even be able to defeat Jerry or any of the 7 wolves. However, when it came to scheming and making a favorable impression, the 7 wolves together were not Arnold's match. Just from the fact that even their 7 legitimate partners couldn't stop Arnold, a pursuer, from obtaining Sandy's heart, it was clear that this was the case. Now that Arnold was a battle pet, he had more opportunities to show his presence in front of Sandy. The sense of crisis that the wolves were feeling was growing. After all, Sandy had yet to give birth to a child for the Wolf clan. If Arnold became the leader and his child mated with Gu Meng Meng, then the Wolf clan, not to mention anything else, they would not be able to raise their heads in front of the Wolf King. Even if the Wolf King didn't blame them, they wouldn't have the face to continue living if they let the opponent win. Moreover, although Gu Meng Meng was the messenger of the beast deity, she was also the queen of the Wolf clan. She only had 4 children and they were all the young masters of the Wolf clan. If Arnold mated with Sandy, then wouldn't the young masters of the Wolf clan be in the hands of the Fox clan? Thinking about how much Gu Meng Meng valued her children, the queen would definitely side with the Fox clan for the sake of her sons. Then the Wolf King's position in the family, intolerable, this was definitely intolerable. So, the most important thing now was to let Sandy give birth to a litter of cubs for the wolf clan before she mated with Arnold. It would be best if it was a female, but it did not matter if it was not. After all, Sandy was a half-orc and the chances of getting pregnant were there. After giving birth to this litter, who knew how many years it would take for her to get pregnant again? Who knew what would happen in between? Maybe Sandy had seen through Arnold's true colors and did not like him anymore. Or maybe because of the children, she valued the 7 wolves more. Anyway, no matter what, they had to let Sandy give birth to the wolf clan's children first. To achieve this goal, the entire wolf clan unanimously decided not to fall out with Arnold before Sandy got pregnant. They would not let him have the chance to sow discord in front of Sandy. As a result, the struggle between the two tribes was concentrated in Sandy's small world. Only at home was the uncivilized version of Empresses in the Palace being played out every day, but the two tribes in the tribe were so harmonious, it was embarrassing. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed and looked at Heda, then at Jiaoyu. Finally, her gaze landed on Qi. Sandy said before I left that she would not accept Arnold. I believe she will not go back on her words. Tell me, whose idea was it? The 3 sons were silent for 2 seconds, then shook their heads in unison and said in unison, "It wasn't me." Gu Mengmeng raised her eyebrows and smiled. Leniency for those who confess, severity for those who resist. The 3 sons shrugged in unison, obviously knowing that Gu Mengmeng could not do anything to them. With an innocent look, they said in unison, "It's really not our principle." Chapter 15:12. Then what else can we do? Jiaoyu answered his own question, before continuing, "We have to think of a better idea." Then what is this better idea? Gu Mengmeng asked cooperatively, "What is it?" Jiaoyu glanced at Gu Mengmeng and laughed. "Don't the Fox clan want Arnold to mate with mother-in-law, and then incite her to rope you in? If we kill Arnold, there will be Arnold Chi, Arnold T, Arnold Mei, Arnold Lao, and so on, right? Unless I kill all the foxes in the world, there will be no end to this matter. Moreover, my mother-in-law is currently bewitched by Arnold. If you kill Arnold now, isn't it obvious that you will let mother-in-law vent her anger on the 7 wolves? When the time comes, the 7 wolves will fall out of favor, and the Fox clan will find a new fox to send to mother-in-law, then everything will fall into place." Gu Mengmeng had to admit, Jiaoyu's hypothesis was really logical, not to mention fooling the wolf clan, even if it was used to fool her. If not for Wang Xiaoxin's psychological knowledge, it would probably also be an accurate bluff. And then, Gu Mengmeng did not intend to expose her son's argument, since it was already done. She just needed to know the process, and not expose herself in front of the wolf clan in the future. Jiaoyu squinted his eyes and smiled in an especially harmless manner, pinching Gu Mengmeng's shoulders. "Then I gave them an idea. I told them that the simplest method is to take drastic measures. Didn't the Fox clan want Arnold to mate with mother-in-law to rope you in? We will not let them succeed. Not only must we not let them succeed, we have to beat them at their own game, and deal with them instead. First of all, the wolf clan must be stable. We must not give Arnold the chance to stir up trouble and act pitiful in front of mother-in-law to gain sympathy. He must act like Romeo and Juliet, saying that they must be together despite the hatred of their country and family, crossing the flames of war to love you. We must not let Arnold act like this. Otherwise, once mother-in-law sympathizes with him, the 7 wolves will not be able to do anything in the future." Gu Mengmeng face-bombed again. She remembered that she had told Hede and his brothers many positive fairy tales when they were young, but why did they only remember those love stories she told to females? Romeo and Juliet, the 4 of them were still wolf cubs who didn't know how to speak human language when they were saying this. She even said, "I crossed the flames of war to love you." Wasn't this what she said when she told the 16 valued females, "I don't have time to say I love you"? Gu Mengmeng regretted. She should not have told the females any modern love stories. How many times had he been buried by Yu Sijin? Why didn't she learn her lesson? Look at her now, what could her son even remember? Chapter 15:13. Gu Mingming's head really hurt. She looked at her sons with a strange gaze. She now understood why Elvis did not allow her to teach her sons. If she continued teaching them, they would all be able to go back to ancient times and act in empresses in the palace. She did not need to memorize the script and could just improvise like palace scheming. Son, Jiaoyu was smart, but he was not as good as Qi Xian at reading people's thoughts and body language. Qi Xian kicked Jiaoyu from behind. Only then did Jiaoyu notice that Gu Mingming's expression was not right. He retracted his arrogant ramblings and cleared his throat, saying carefully, "Mom, don't be angry. I'm not scheming against mother-in-law. It's just that I'm afraid something will happen to the tribe when you're not around, so I'm using this method to stabilize the various powers." Second brother used his life to threaten Cole. But if the Wolf clan and the Fox clan really fought, even if Cole did not do anything, it would definitely be a situation where both sides would suffer. After all, this was not a battle between two tribes. It was a battle between two tribes. Two complete tribes with a beast king. You handed Solder over to Big Brother and me to guard. I can't possibly watch you go out for a trip only to come back with broken walls and a scene of desolation, right? Moreover, I only taught the 7 wolves to treat mother-in-law better and let them please her. I did not do anything else, I swear. Gu Mengmeng was still traumatized by swearing. Back then, snakes, cut open my chest and take out my gallbladder, became a maxim. Later on, Gregory's break my wings and make me blind also became an ironclad truth. Now, her heart would thump whenever she heard the word swear. Slapping Jiaoyu's head, Gu Mengmeng glared at him. The first rule is that the males in our family are not allowed to swear. Not allowed. I won't swear. Don't be angry. Jiaoyu was really afraid of Gu Mengmeng. After all, he only had one mother. What if she got angry? Seeing her glare, he hurriedly smiled and coaxed her. Mom, I have already confessed. Can I be lenient? Gu Mengmeng also knew that she had overreacted. After all, the children did not know about the trauma she had from swearing. So she did not harp on it. She just sighed and poked Jiaoyu's head to the side. Then, she asked. What about the Fox clan? Who showed up? Yes, the Fox clan was good at winning people's hearts and pretending to be peaceful, but if there was no one adding fuel to the fire, the entire clan would not be so obedient. It was not strange that the Fox clan would place their attention on Sandy, but it was strange that both the Fox and Wolf clans would place their attention on Sandy. Moreover, the strategy they adopted was the same, which was very strange. The 3 little ones looked at each other, giggling as they retreated step by step, keeping their mouths shut and not saying anything. Gu Mengmeng narrowed her eyes and was about to interrogate him when Leah walked in with his tail wagging. He smiled and said, "All right, stop it. I was the one who came up with the idea, and I was also the one who came up with the Fox clan. Before I left, I told these 3 guys not to tell anyone that I was the one who set this up. Otherwise, if someone found out, it would definitely be exposed. So no matter how you ask them, they won't say anything. The pride of the Wolf clan does not allow them to go back on their word. Daddy Leah, you're finally back. We couldn't hold on much longer." Jiaoyu heaved a long sigh of relief, as if he had seen his savior. Chapter 15:14. Qi Xian remained silent for a moment before saying, "I have already stayed here for too long in order to restrain Cole. I am worried about leaving Kanwu alone in Zacharias. Since all of you are back, I will return to Zacharias to accompany Kanwu." Gu Mingming's heart ached the most for Qi Xian. Qi Xian had suffered the most when he was young, and after he grew up, he was the busiest of the 4 sons. Hugging Qi Xian, Gu Mengmeng said with a pained expression, "There is a night campfire party to celebrate my return. Stay behind and let Daddy Leah make you some good food to nourish you. Let's leave tomorrow morning, all right?" Ever since Gu Mengmeng burst into tears that time, Qi Xian could no longer reject her. He just nodded his head and smiled in agreement. Elvis had been away for a long time. Although the wolf clan did not do anything on the surface, they were still extremely sullen. Elvis naturally had many matters to settle after returning. Gu Mengmeng tidied Elvis's beast-skin dress as she said, "Go on, you are the Wolf King and the whole pack of wolves is waiting to see you. I will go to Sandy's place to take a look. With Leah accompanying me, it will be fine." Elvis also knew that ever since Gregory's incident, he and Leah had been overly anxious, causing Gu Mengmeng to be under a lot of pressure. And Gu Mengmeng hoped that he would divert his attention elsewhere and not be too anxious because of her emotions. Actually, how could he not be anxious about her? However, he was willing to cooperate with her arrangements and let her believe that his attention had already shifted. Nodding, he planted a kiss on Gu Mengmeng's forehead and said, "I will go and fetch you before the night campfire party." Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement, then shot a look at her three sons, telling them to follow Elvis over. Stepping on his shoulders, it would be easier to establish the prestige of the Wolf clan's young master. After Elvis left with his three sons, Leah handed over the task of organizing the night campfire party to Oratin. Oratin was both the guardian of the messenger of the beast deity and Gu Mengmeng's guardian beast. Although he was not a witch doctor, no one dared to doubt him. After Gu Mengmeng came to the beast world, the night campfire party was held much more frequently than before. Although Oratin had never personally organized one, he had assisted Leah many times and was rather familiar with it. With nothing to do, Leah carried Gu Mengmeng and wagged his tail as he walked out of the meeting room towards Sandy's place. Gu Mengmeng looped her arms around his neck and asked, "Cole, what?" Leah sneered and said, "You will know when you go to the night campfire party tonight. That scene is really exciting." Looking at Lee's relaxed and cheerful expression, she knew that Cole must have been having a hard time recently. As long as he wasn't, Gu Mengmeng would feel good. As for what was wrong with him, Gu Mengmeng did not really want to know. Gu Waoling, Tian of Temutu, to along to say, wolf, to say, to of mu. Sandy was sitting on the other side of the cave entrance with the 7 wolves surrounding her attentively. If not for the difference in height, Gu Mengmeng would have thought that she was looking at Snow White. Sandy wore an awkward expression, unable to decide whether to laugh or cry. From time to time, he would sneak a peek at Arnold, but he did not dare to turn around to look at him. One moment, Hodgson would stuff a piece of fruit into his mouth, the next moment, Jerry would hand him a cup of honey water. Chapter 15:15. Girl. Sandy was the first to react. She jumped up and pushed Hodgson, who was blocking her way, before pouncing towards Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng also jumped down from Lee's arms. The two of them hugged each other tightly. Little Bear Bun and Girl were the new nicknames that Gu Mengmeng and Sandy had agreed on when they last met. Other than partners, only the two of them had nicknames that belonged to each other. Although it was just a nickname, it was the highest honor in the beast world because of Gu Mengmeng's identity. Sandy did not care about honor, but she was very happy that she was the most special in her most important friend's heart. "How is it? Is it hard to endure a beauty's grace?" Gu Mengmeng teased. Sandy blushed at the mention of this. She lowered her head and said, "Girl, I'm sorry." "Why?" Gu Mengmeng was confused. Sandy sneaked a glance at Arnold and said, "Before you left, I said that I would only accept him after Leah becomes the Fox King, but, that day was really..." Gu Mengmeng understood that Sandy was referring to Arnold. She smiled knowingly and used her elbow to poke Sandy. "I said that because I was afraid that you would have a psychological burden. It was to comfort you." You really took it seriously. Let me see. Gu Meng Meng cupped the round, soft and adorable Sandy with both hands and smiled. Is this coward really my little bear bun? Stop fooling around. I'm serious. Sandy pouted and protested. If I knew that you were coming back today, I would have asked him to hide. Hide? Where? Gu Meng Meng teased. Like how the first wife inspects the room, stuffing her lover under the bed. Sandy knew that Gu Meng Meng was purposely teasing her. She did not get angry when Gu Meng Meng teased her. She just said with a red face, who cares where he hides? Anyway, I can't let you see him. Gu Meng Meng hooked her arms around Sandy's neck. Why? You didn't get my permission to accept a beast pet, so you don't have the face to see me. Sandy nodded with a serious expression. Gu Meng Meng smacked her lips and smiled. Just nice, I also accepted a guardian beast. I didn't discuss it with you beforehand. How about we call it even? Sandy knew about Grace's situation. After all, she had introduced her in such a big way at the bonfire party before she left. Hearing that, Sandy finally reacted and looked behind Gu Meng Meng. That bird man didn't come with you. I wanted to give him a show of strength and ask him if his face hurts now that he said he didn't like you back then. Gu Mingming's smile froze for a moment before she quickly composed herself and smiled. Yeah, I guess my face must be hurting. Next time, there will always be a chance. Sandy thought that Gregory had gone to help Gu Meng Meng with other matters, so she did not take it to heart. After all, Wharton was also the guardian beast of Gu Mingming's family, but he would not follow her every time, so she did not take it to heart. The males in Sandy's family had a deep understanding of Gu Mingming's shock education, so the moment they saw Gu Meng Meng, they automatically went into eunuch mode. 3 layers of beast skin were laid out at the cave entrance, fruits, honey and water were all prepared. They lined up neatly in a row, waiting respectfully, not even bothering to push Arnold aside. Chapter 15-16. All right. Sandy was already filled with anticipation without even asking what it was. Gu Meng Meng moved her shoulders, then suddenly exerted strength. A pair of transparent wings that resembled eyes spread out from her back. Then, under Sandy's shocked expression, Gu Meng Meng flew up into the sky and hovered in mid-air under the setting sun. The wind blew against her face, causing Gu Mingming's hair and the feather on her right ear to sway along with the wind. Gu Meng Meng tried her best to smile, so that no one could hear her asking in her heart, I am using you to exchange my wings for flight, do you see that? I am smiling, so. Gregory, are you happy? After flying 2 rounds, Gu Meng Meng finally calmed herself down and landed steadily on the ground. Girl, you are too amazing, you really flew up into the sky. That's right, this time I can really stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. Just as Gu Meng Meng was speaking, Arnold suddenly entered the conversation. Congratulations, great messenger, and congratulations to Ninth Highness. Gu Meng Meng glanced sideways at Arnold. Arnold continued, everyone knows that the great messenger wants the love of the sky so that Ninth Highness can have children. Now that the love of the sky is in our hands, the Snow Fox clan will have a new noble. Gu Meng Meng was about to speak, but Leah beat her to it. Looks like you are really pampered, so much that you have nothing to fear. Arnold did not seem to understand and just stared blankly at Leah. Leah waved his tail and stood up to walk in front of Arnold. As a senior beast pet, let me give you a piece of advice as someone who has been through it. Don't think that everything will be fine just because you have a status. There is a limit to how much she can dote on you. If you touch on her taboo, females will turn on you more ruthlessly than males. I am willing to hear the details. Arnold still did not understand what Leah meant, but he could see that Sandy's expression did not look too good, but he did not know what he had done wrong, so he could only put on an attitude of listening attentively. Leah tilted his body and swayed his tail, smiling, as a beast pet, the most basic thing is to learn how to read people's expressions, right? When the two of them gather together to talk, don't mention you, a mere beast pet. Did you see that row of people standing there? Which one of them does not have more authority than you? Do you see who dares to interrupt? Even if it's me, I have to think twice before intervening between the two of them, but you, dare to say anything? Arnold's heart skipped a beat. It was not that he did not realize that Bode and the rest did not dare to make a sound when Gu Meng Meng and Sandy were talking to each other. It was the exact opposite. He had discovered it, so he intentionally interrupted. He thought that since Leo was the ninth highness of the Snow Fox tribe, he was accompanying Gu Meng Meng to meet Sandy today and the Wolf King was not around, so it was a good opportunity to teach the 7 wolves a lesson. As long as he interfered, even if Gu Meng Meng just said a few perfunctory words to him, his status in the family would rise by quite a lot. Moreover, as long as Gu Meng Meng interfered, it would prove that Gu Meng Meng was fated with Leah and was still close to the Snow Fox tribe. In that case, Sandy would not have anything to worry about and the mating would happen naturally. But he did not expect that the one to talk to him was not Gu Meng Meng, but Leah. Looking at Sandy's expression, Arnold knew that he had outsmarted himself. "I'm sorry," Arnold was rude. "I just wanted to congratulate His Highness." "Congratulate?" Leah chuckled coldly, shaking his head. "You don't know about the relationship between my Gu Meng Meng and the Fox King? Or do you not know about the feud between me and the Fox King? Do you think you have the right to congratulate me?" Digression. Once Gregory left the stage, everyone seemed to be in low spirits. To boost morale, let me spoil a little. I am preparing to kill Cole, so everyone prepare your machetes, we will chop him up together. Chapter 15-17. Lee's meaning was very clear. He was saying that Arnold was Cole's man and he had gotten close to Sandy under Cole's instructions. Arnold had no way of defending himself against this. In the beginning, he got close to Sandy on purpose, but later on, he really liked Sandy. But the two of them were burdened with so many benefits. It was not that he did not know that Leah had made use of him before he left, but he still chose to add fuel to the fire and use it to get close to Sandy. Even if this way, he would be entangled with countless troubles and it would be hard for him to escape. But even if he was doomed to eternal damnation, he still wanted to get close to Sandy. But now, his sincerity could not change the ulterior motives he had when he first approached her. It also could not change the fact that he was carrying the mission of the Snow Fox tribe and the Fox King's orders. He had to mate with Sandy as soon as possible and let her give birth to his child to stabilize the relationship between the messenger of the beast deity and the Snow Fox tribe. But at the same time, his love for Sandy was also real. He felt that these two matters did not clash. But now, he could not say anything. Sandy cared about Gu Meng Meng. In the family, other than her first partner Bode and Colin who was imprinted on her heart, none of her partners had an exclusive nickname. But Gu Meng Meng had one. Just based on this point, Arnold knew that although he was doted on, he could not compare to Gu Meng Meng in Sandy's heart. He was from the Snow Fox tribe and Gu Meng Meng was hostile towards the Snow Fox tribe. This was an insurmountable gap between him and Sandy. Unless, Arnold's gaze landed on Lee's face with a fanatical look. He was very clear about the consequences of going against the Beast King. But even so, he still could not extinguish the wild desire in his heart. Leah returned an unfathomable smile and patted his shoulder. My Meng Meng said that humans must know how to judge the situation. Even a fine bird has to choose a good tree to nest in. Yes. Sandy added. That girl also said that one would be an idiot not to take advantage of an opportunity. Pfft. Gu Meng Meng burst out laughing in a second and pinched Sandy. She then glanced sideways at Arnold and said, "Looks like you are really favored, even my little bear bun has to step in to help you out of your predicament. Don't worry, I'll like whatever little bear bun likes." But, if I find out that you've done something to make my little bear buns suffer, I won't let you off. Gu Meng Meng enunciated the last sentence very clearly. Arnold couldn't help but tremble. He immediately lowered his head and said, I will solemnly obey the Queen's teachings. Gu Meng Meng chuckled. It was so smooth to call her Queen. Arnold was not a werewolf, so he definitely did not bark because of Elvis. She and Cole were like fire and water, so she would never be Cole's queen. So, the only way for this title to be established was for Leah to become the Fox King, and as his tribesman and follower, he naturally had to address Gu Meng Meng as queen. Gu Meng Meng nodded and gladly accepted the respectful title. She said, a wise man submits to circumstances, but he must also know how to conceal his capabilities, and remember, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Gu Meng Meng was reminding him to hide his unfaithfulness towards Cole well and not let Cole see through it. After all, Sandy liked this beast pet very much. It would be good if he could become one of them, but if he died because of this, Gu Meng Meng would not be able to answer to Sandy. Chapter 15:18. Gu Meng Meng did not bother about Arnold anymore and chatted with Sandy for a while. At sunset, Elvis came to fetch her. After mating, Gu Meng Meng fulfilled her promise. In front of Elvis and Leah, she treated herself as a severely handicapped person who could not take care of herself. So even though she had legs and now wings to walk and fly, as long as Elvis and Leah were around, she had to be carried when she moved. The campfire party was unprecedentedly grand. Because when Gu Meng Meng was not around, people from the wolf tribe came to seek shelter one after another, while the fox tribe also had the hearts of many. Almost all the branches of the two races had gathered in Sauder. Then, the state of the campfire party changed slightly. In the past, the main campfire belonged to Gu Meng Meng, while the others would light their bonfires according to the number of females in their families. Then, those who were closer to Gu Meng Meng would sit closer to the main campfire. But Cole was single and he could not live without a campfire. So the two tribe elders discussed harmoniously and finally decided to change the system slightly. The original Gu Meng Meng would be the main campfire seat, and now there would be two campfires to be the main campfire seat. Gu Meng Meng would sit at the main campfire of the wolf tribe as the queen, while Cole would start another campfire as the fox king. As a result, the party was divided into two groups. On the left, Elvis and Gu Meng Meng were the leaders of the wolf tribe and the 16 tribes who were pro-wolf, while on the right, Cole was the leader of the fox tribe. Gu Meng Meng took a quick glance and saw that there were quite a number of people from the fox tribe, even more than the wolf tribe. Although they were not as powerful as the wolves individually, but based on the current numbers, it was not realistic for the wolf tribe led by Elvis to win. They could win, but they would definitely have to pay a huge price. Rubbing her brows, Gu Meng Meng felt a headache coming on. "Ah, Gu, come here." Cole was already sitting at the right side of the campfire. From afar, he saw Gu Meng Meng being carried over by Elvis and was in a daze. But Gu Meng Meng did not even look at him, which made him extremely unhappy. Gu Meng Meng sneered at Cole and ignored him. She sat beside Elvis's bonfire and leaned into Elvis's arms, waiting for Leah to make her something to eat. Seeing that Gu Meng Meng was ignoring him, Cole stood up and took the initiative to walk in front of Gu Meng Meng. He stared at Gu Meng Meng openly and said, "Ah, Gu, you have already followed them for an entire dry season. I waited so long for you to return, can't you accompany me?" Gu Meng Meng looked up and frowned. She looked at Cole unhappily. "Fox King, are you standing in the wrong place? Your bonfire is over there. There's no place for you here. If the mountain doesn't accept me, then I can only accept the mountain. If you don't come to my side, I can only come to your side." Cole spoke with deep affection, as if he was related to Gu Meng Meng. Gu Meng Meng didn't want Cole to feel uncomfortable looking at her. She just felt that something was different about Cole. After sizing him up for a long time, she still could not figure out what was wrong. Cole gladly accepted Gu Mingming's scrutiny. He just smiled and opened his arms. "Ah, Gu, come here. I will let you look at me slowly, all right?" Gu Mingming's gaze stopped on Cole's face. She suddenly understood. Chapter 15:19. Leah swayed his tail and whispered into Gu Mingming's ear, "Interesting." Gu Mengmeng looked back at Leah and laughed. Although Qishuan's skills were not high enough and he could not change too much, but even if he changed the smallest details, it was enough to cause the trajectory to change and create a butterfly effect. Leah went to see Cole just now to confirm if the medicinal bug had completely controlled Cole. From Lee's expression when he returned, Leah must have added fuel to the fire when they were alone. "Interesting, of course it's interesting." Gu Mengmeng was all too clear about the state of a male in the beast world after falling in love, wasn't it? Especially for someone like Cole who would do anything to achieve his goals. He could get whatever he wanted in his lifetime. As long as he was willing to scheme, there was no goal he could not achieve. Love but not get, how interesting would that be? Cole frowned. He did not like how Gu Mengmeng shifted her gaze away from him. "Ah, Gu." Cole called out in a low voice. Gu Mengmeng replied lazily, "What?" Cole was taken aback, clearly not expecting Gu Mengmeng to really answer him. He thought that Gu Mengmeng would coldly tell him not to use such a disgusting term to call her like before. But she actually agreed. His heart warmed and even his voice softened. "I have not seen you for an entire dry season and I really miss you. Accompany me to the Fox clan's campfire, all right?" "No." She glanced sideways at Cole and said, "Before I went to Moda Mountains, you scared Gregory so badly that he refused to come back with me, so I'm still angry now and don't want to talk to you." Cole nodded and said, "So I'm not going to talk to you. He is just a guardian beast, he is also my guardian beast and one that I dote on." Gu Mengmeng said coldly, "And you, what are you?" "I." Cole was speechless and clenched his fists tightly. He had no status, he had no status. Gu Mingming's words were like a knife stabbing into his heart. He watched helplessly as his blood flowed like a river. He frowned and said, "You won't be angry if I capture him back for you." Gu Mingming's words were like a knife stabbing into his heart. Gu Mengmeng chuckled and said, "Capture? How to capture? I didn't know. Lord Fox King can fly. You can go up to Motu." Cole took a deep breath and said, "I can't fly, but I can get on Moto." "How?" "Climb up." Gu Mengmeng asked nonchalantly. Cole explained patiently, "Didn't you send Miranda to the Moda Mountains? She should have mated during this dry season, right?" Gu Mengmeng understood. Miranda was from the Fox tribe and was under the control of the Fox King. As long as he reached the vicinity of the Moda Mountains, he could use his status as the Fox King to order Miranda to get her partner to fetch him. Miranda's partner would definitely not allow Miranda to suffer the wrath of the Beast King and die, so agreeing to Cole's request was a no-brainer. Hit 3 inches before hitting a snake. Cole was really good at pinching people's sore spots. Miranda was pregnant with a child and that child was useful to Gu Mengmeng, so she definitely could not let Cole find trouble with Miranda at this time. Moreover, she had promised Miranda that she would keep her safe. Chapter 15:20. Cole was overjoyed. His eyes sparkled as he stared at Gu Mengmeng. "Ah, Gu, are you jealous? You care. You care that I have other females. You care that other females bear children for me." Gu Mengmeng could not deny it, but she was also unwilling to admit it. She just turned her face to the side and ignored Cole. Cole took a step forward. "Ah, Gu, I am so happy that you actually care about this, but don't be angry. Those lowly females are not worthy of bearing my children. The one in Miranda's stomach is just a tool to help you open the doors of time and space. I know you can't bear to part with Huda and his brothers, so let me be the Beast King. I will create a key of the Beast King for you. Gu Meng Meng held her cheek and laughed coldly. Then Maya's stomach also has a key of the Beast King. At that time, you were not the Beast King yet, right? Gu Meng Meng did not care which female Cole slept with, nor did she care about this fox's antics. She just felt disgusted that he had to pretend to be infatuated even though he was promiscuous. She could not help but rebuke him. At the mention of Maya, Cole's face was filled with a perverted pampering. His tone was filled with indulgence. "Oh Gu, I really did not expect you to care so much about me. No wonder you let Qi Xian pester me when you went to Moda Mountains, forcing me to stay in Sauder and forbidding me from accompanying you. So it was because you were angry at me. Good Gu, don't be angry. Listen to my explanation." To be honest, Gu Meng Meng felt goosebumps all over her body. She felt that Cole did not need to use force to kill her. He could just use this disgusting method to disgust her to death. I really did not activate the Beast King bloodline back then. That winter in Saint Nazaire, I only used Maya to test the probability of stray beasts impregnating females. It was to prepare for this winter. Moreover, didn't Maya's child not even born? It was just a test subject. You don't have to take it to heart. In this world, you are the only one who can bear a child for me. Ah Gu, only the child you bear for me is the treasure in my heart. Only the child I acknowledge. So you never intended to let Maya's child live from the start? Gu Meng Meng frowned, her eyes filled with disgust. Cole nodded his head honestly. Other than the ones you gave birth to, I will not allow any foxes that could threaten my position as the Beast King to exist. As Cole said that, he instinctively glanced at Leah. Lee's gaze met Cole's and he smiled faintly. Is the Fox King looking at me? Aya, you're not going to attack me, are you? With that, Leah suddenly turned around and pounced into Gu Meng Meng's arms. He said coquettishly and pretentiously, Meng Meng, look, the great Fox King is using his status to bully me again. Sobs. He used to bully me like this in the past. The last time, he even beat me up until I revealed my true form. Meng Meng, if you really take him in one day, I won't be able to survive. Gu Meng Meng knew that Leah was purposely provoking Cole's anger because the more Cole's emotions fluctuated, the more control the medicinal bug had over him and the more advantageous the situation would be for them. Chapter 15:21. Leo lifted his chin and looked at Cole provocatively. A crafty glint flashed across his long and narrow eyes and he said proudly, "See, no matter how strong you are, my Meng Meng's heart is still biased towards me." Leah had not said this for a long time. It seemed like, ever since they left the Snake King Valley, Leah had not said such coy words. After not hearing it for a long time, he suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. If Lee's deliberate provocation was nothing to Cole, then the gentleness in Gu Meng Meng's eyes really stung him. The veins on his forehead twitched. Leah and Gu Meng Meng exchanged glances and both of them had a tacit understanding. Cole had always been good at manipulating people's hearts and his control over his own emotions was at the peak of perfection. To fly into a rage with just a few words of provocation was really not his style. "Great Fox King, please return to your own campfire. Don't stand here and scare my partners." Gu Meng Meng chased him away without any hesitation. Cole wanted to speak to Gu Meng Meng again, but Gu Meng Meng just shook her head and ignored him. Cole swung his hands angrily and returned to his own campfire. However, his eyes were still fixed on Gu Meng Meng, as if he wanted to burn 2 holes in her body. Gu Meng Meng completely ignored Cole's gaze. She continued eating and playing as usual and was even gentler to Elvis and Leah than usual. They were in a mess, and all kinds of "chase me, if you manage to catch me, I will let you kiss me" scenes kept popping up, making Cole want to rush over and carry Gu Meng Meng away. Seeing that it was about time, Gu Meng Meng and Leah exchanged glances and stretched their bodies, saying that they were tired and wanted to go home. Elvis carried Gu Meng Meng and walked towards the stone castle without another word. Leah wagged his tail and followed behind. Before he left, he even winked at Cole with an expression that said, "I know you can't stand me, but it's a pity you can't get rid of me." It was especially annoying. After returning to the stone castle, Gu Meng Meng laughed out loud and slapped her thighs. It feels so good. I had never seen Cole so restrained before. The way he looked as if he was about to go crazy with jealousy just now was too funny. In the past, he was the one who made me clench my teeth in anger, but I couldn't do anything about it. Today, I finally got back at him. How comfortable. Leah hooked Gu Meng Meng's little chin and smiled with his eyes squinted. The medicinal bug on Cole's body is already 80% effective. Once it's 100% effective, Cole will become a puppet in my hands. His every move will be within my calculations. But, to activate the medicinal bug, I have to plan step by step. It's very tough, so... Meng Meng, shouldn't you reward me? Gu Meng Meng only needed 2 seconds to understand what Leah meant by reward. That's true. She had struggled for a long time because of love of the sky, and it had been a long time since she had been intimate with them. Seeing that Gu Meng Meng blushed but did not reject him, Leah knew that she had silently agreed. However, every family had its rules and the Beast World's clans had an order that was not allowed to be disrupted. Kissing Gu Meng Meng's little mouth, he said, "I will remember Gu Meng Meng's seductive look, just take it as interest. I will go and arrange the remaining 20% of the bug in Cole's body. Don't forget to reward me on the day I succeed." Chapter 15:22. Elvis was taken aback at first, then he looked at Gu Meng Meng, his eyes were glowing green. Gu Meng Meng felt a little guilty and asked softly, which one is it?" Leah had long left the stone castle, but he did not set up anything. He just stood guard outside the stone castle, guarding the door for them. Looking up at the moonlight, Leah could not help but chuckle. 4 years ago, he had been guarding the door for them, and 4 years later, he was still the one guarding the door. But his current state of mind was completely different from then. In the house, Elvis's heart was beating like a drum. He was a little restless and absent-minded, only saying in a low, muffled voice, "Let me boil some water for you to bathe. You will feel more comfortable after bathing." Actually, he wished he could press her down right now. But she had this habit of bathing before and after, or else she would not let him touch her. Elvis would rather endure unbearable pain than let her suffer, especially on this matter. Elvis's reaction was really too strange, and Gu Meng Meng had a feeling that a disaster was about to befall her. By right, they had already been partners for 4 years. Although she did not do that frequently, she had already given birth to 4 children. What kind of storms had she not seen before? But for some reason, her heart was pounding hard today. She was more nervous than on her wedding day. "Hubby, tell me, what was that matter that Leah mentioned to you just now? I am really panicking." Elvis was boiling water, his back facing Gu Meng Meng for the first time, not daring to turn around. Gu Meng Meng was even more confused. She walked in front of Elvis and realized that his face was flushed with embarrassment. Looking down, she saw that he was even more excited and agitated. It was normal for Elvis to have a physical reaction to her, but she was wearing her clothes properly now, and was not aroused or emitting the fox seductive fragrance, so why was he so agitated? Not normal, too abnormal. Why don't we forget about it today? Gu Meng Meng took 2 steps back in fear. Elvis looked at Gu Meng Meng with a hurt and disappointed expression. He pursed his lips and spat out a word, okay. He had clearly said okay, but Gu Mengmeng felt a very serious sense of guilt. He looked too pitiful, like a husky abandoned by its director, hanging his head and looking like he had nothing to live for. Gu Mengmeng mustered up her courage and took another step forward. She held Elvis's head with both hands and asked, "You want it?" Elvis whimpered and nodded. Gu Mengmeng clenched her teeth and said, "Then let's do it, isn't it just that thing? Let's go all out." Gu Mengmeng thought, they were an old couple, Elvis would not bite her to death. Elvis's eyes lit up immediately and he hugged Gu Mengmeng excitedly. "Really? You agree?" Gu Mengmeng laughed bitterly. "I agree, what's there to disagree about?" She had already given birth to 4 children. It was too late to be sentimental now. "You're my husband. Everything we do is reasonable." Elvis stuck out his tongue and licked Gu Mengmeng's face harshly. "Don't worry, we already have 4 sons in our family, so I will let Leah have this one. However, once he has this child, I won't give in to him anymore. In the future, whoever you conceive will have to depend on your own ability." Gu Mengmeng nodded with a blushing face. Elvis added a few more handfuls of firewood to the fire and soon, the bath water was ready for Gu Mengmeng to take a comfortable bath. But, how should she put it? This bath made Gu Mengmeng feel like she was washing vegetables before cooking. And that bundle of vegetables was her of all people. Aside from the topic, hurry, there's no time left. Hurry up and board the train. Look at the car plate, 4927799273. After boarding the train, look for the administrator to check the tickets. Babes with more than 800 fans can enter the VIP cabin and enjoy the special treatment of the fragrant meat. Note, this train is not heading to the kindergarten. Children who are going to the kindergarten, please do not sneak onto the train. This train is not heading to the kindergarten. Children who are going to the kindergarten, please do not sneak onto the train. Chapter 1523. According to Gu Mengmeng's previous situation, she would have to sleep for at least 3 days and 3 nights after being tormented by Elvis like this. But miraculously, this time, Gu Mengmeng woke up early the next morning. When she sat up rubbing her eyes, Elvis and Leah were both stunned. I'll go prepare breakfast." Leo was only stunned for 2 seconds before he stood up and left the stone castle. After calling out to Oriton to prepare breakfast as usual, Oriton flew out to hunt while Leah immediately started a fire to boil water for cooking. Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng in his arms and asked softly, "Not going to sleep a little longer?" Gu Mengmeng glared at Elvis in annoyance and said, "Now you're feeling sorry for me. Why didn't you feel sorry for me when I was begging for mercy last night? My waist was about to break. Your begging was too moving and I couldn't help but want to hear more, so..." Elvis recalled the passionate scene last night and could not help but feel restless. Gu Mengmeng saw that he was tempted and glared at him. "Stop fooling around, I'm scared of your hungry wolf pouncing on me. I'm starving after accompanying you for an entire night. If you don't give me food and do it again, I'll really die in front of you." "Alright, I won't pounce on you. I'll feed you first." Elvis suppressed the restlessness in his heart. He also knew that although Gu Mengmeng had the protection of the tear of the beast deity and love of the sky, he could not go too far. If she was really exhausted, his heart would ache too. With that, Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng downstairs and left the stone castle together. They sat at the entrance to bask in the sun while waiting for breakfast. By right, Oriton was more enthusiastic than anyone else when it came to meals. If Leo was willing to cook, even if he did not prepare any prey, he would snatch it from someone else's house first. With the glory of being a member of the Wolf King and Wolf Queen's family, most of the wolf tribe would be willing to offer their prey to him and hand it over to Elvis and Gu Mengmeng. Or else, he could even catch a wild wolf guarding at the edge of the stone castle to answer an emergency. But this time, he was gone for a long time. Gu Mingming's stomach was growling from hunger, but this sharing partner was still not back yet. Gu Mengmeng was a little surprised. She tilted her head and asked, could something have happened to Orion? Leah and Elvis looked at each other. This is solder, what could possibly happen? Gu Mengmeng shook her head and said in confusion, I can't say, I just feel uneasy. Shall we go and see him? Elvis and Lee's meaning was, it was just a dumb tiger, so be it if it was lost. What was there to find? But seeing Gu Mingming's worried look, they did not reject her. Leah removed the pot from the fire and placed it at the side. He dusted his hands and said, I will go hunting and bring that glutton back. Let's go together, I can fly and can see further. Gu Mengmeng also stood up, wanting to go together. Elvis knew that his objection was futile, so he did not insist. He just treated it as accompanying her to relax and take a stroll. Just as the three of them were about to search in the direction that Orion had left in, they saw a person slowly walking towards them. In his hand was a tiger's leg. Behind him was a badly mutilated tiger, leaving a trail of blood behind him. He could vaguely see that the tiger was a white tiger. Chapter 15:24. As for the person carrying Orion, little shit. Gu Mingming's voice was filled with hesitation. Face, it was indeed little shit's face. But his entire aura was completely different. How should she put it? If little shit did not have a split personality, then this person must be little shit's twin brother from the same nest. Yeah. Little shit casually tossed Orion onto the ground, not caring about his life or death. He only said, I just happened to meet your family's tiger. I heard that it was going to hunt. I don't think it's necessary, just eat him. Leah understood Gu Mengmeng too well. If Orion had died outside today, perhaps Gu Mengmeng would be upset for 2 days and forget about it. At most, he and Elvis would find the person who killed Orion and avenge him. That would be the end of it. But now that Orion had been brought back, Orion must not die. Otherwise, it would become another knot in Gu Mingming's heart, especially since Gregory's incident had just happened not too long ago. So without waiting for Gu Mingming's instructions, Leah carried Orion up from the ground. After a simple check, he gave Gu Mengmeng a reassuring smile. Don't worry, he won't die. Gu Mengmeng heaved a sigh of relief. Her worried heart also calmed down. She walked up to Wabi-Ai and sized him up carefully. She asked uncertainly, Are you, really little shit? Yeah. Wabi-Ai glanced sideways at Gu Mengmeng and responded with a single syllable, appearing rather aloof. Gu Mengmeng frowned. His face was indeed Wabi-Ai's, but there was something wrong with his entire body. How should she put it? In the past, Gu Mengmeng had called Wabi-Ai little shit because the two of them had a good relationship and would play around without restraint. But it was also because Wabi-Ai exuded a hopeless aura of a chinibu, so Gu Mengmeng deliberately called him little shit. In the past, he would explode whenever she called him that. The more he exploded, the more Gu Mengmeng liked to tease him. As time passed, she could not change her way of addressing him. But this person before her, the aura he exuded could really freeze someone to death. If one person had to be compared, it would probably be Snake on the eve of his rage who had this kind of pressure. But there was still a slight difference between the two of them, because Snake would only emit a chilling aura when he was extremely angry, while this little shit in front of him was not angry but was intimidating. Even though he was clearly calm, no one dared to underestimate him. Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip and sniffed Wabi-Ai. The appearance was similar, but the taste couldn't be exactly the same. Wabi-Ai seemed to understand what Gu Mengmeng was trying to confirm. He neither resisted nor cooperated. He just looked like he couldn't be bothered with her and allowed her to carefully confirm his scent. Gu Mengmeng sniffed carefully and exchanged glances with Elvis to confirm that the person before her was really Wabi-Ai. Even if Gu Mingming's nose was not accurate, as a beast king and a wolf, Elvis would definitely not be mistaken. After all, apart from Gu Mengmeng and Leah, Wabiai was the one who had been by his side for the longest time. There was no way he would mistake that familiar scent. This person was the real Wabiai. But Gu Mengmeng felt as if the core had changed. Wabiai, where have you been these past few days? I didn't see you when I returned from the Moda Mountains. I was quite worried. Gu Mengmeng did not know why she could not call out, "little shit," to the person in front of her. Chapter 1525. I went to retrieve some things stored elsewhere. Wabiai's concise reply made Gu Mingming's heart turn colder. The person before her was not the little shit she knew. Even if they had the same body, they were definitely different on the inside. If it was little shit, he would have started bragging to her about his achievements on the Moda Mountains, pointing at her nose and asking her to kneel down and sing "Conquer." And not like now, with a dignified explanation that stopped Gu Mengmeng from asking any further. It seemed like he had explained, but in actual fact, he did not say anything. Instead, he gave off a feeling of, "What does it have to do with you?" This feeling made Gu Mengmeng feel like she had no right to continue asking. Little shit was her friend and a very sincere one. He would never treat her like this. Either something serious had happened on the Moda Mountains and she did not know about it, or this person before her was not little shit. Gu Mingming's imagination was running wild. She even started to suspect if little shit had died on the Moda Mountains and someone else's soul had transmigrated over to take over his body. But that did not seem right. Because if that was the case, how did little shit find her? And how did he know that Oriton was her family's tiger? Pursing her lips, Gu Mengmeng did not continue asking Wabiai about what happened on the Moda Mountains. She knew he would not say it and she did not want to push him too hard and make things awkward. So she could only change the topic. Then did you see who injured Oriton so badly just now? Normally, with Oriton's status as Gu Mingming's guardian beast, the people in the beast world would have to give him some face. This was Sauter and half of the forces here were from the Wolf clan. No matter who it was that beat Oriton up, the Wolf clan would not just stand by and watch. After all, beating up a male from the Wolf King family was the same as slapping Elvis in the face. The Wolf clan would definitely not tolerate it. But the truth was right before their eyes. Oriton had been beaten half to death. Wabiai glanced at Gu Mengmeng from the corner of his eye. His expression was calm, but it was as if he was looking at an idiot. He breathed in speechlessly and said, "Cole." Gu Mingming's mind exploded. Wasn't it Cole? Besides him, who else would dare to do that? Gu Mengmeng stood up and wanted to settle the score with Cole. Elvis understood Gu Mingming's temper and did not stop her. He just carried her up and brought her along. The males of the Wolf King's family were beaten up. If he didn't beat them back, the Wolf King wouldn't be able to live in the future. But before they could take 2 steps, Wabiai asked lazily, "Are you sure you want to go now?" Gu Mengmeng and Elvis paused and turned to look at Wabiai. Wabiai looked up at Gu Mengmeng and said calmly, "Don't you feel anything different about yourself?" "Ah." Gu Mengmeng lowered her head and scrutinized herself. She didn't find anything different, so she shook her head slowly and turned to look at Elvis. Elvis stared at Gu Mengmeng for a long time, as if there was something different about her, but he couldn't recall it at that moment. So the two of them turned to look at Wabiai. Wabiai pointed at the back of his neck, then looked at Gu Mengmeng with a faint smile. Gu Mengmeng turned around and showed the back of her neck to Elvis. "Look, is the mark on the back of my neck still there?" Elvis took a look and nodded. "It's still there. Is there anything different?" Gu Mengmeng asked again. Elvis replied, No. I can't tell." Digression. Chapter 1526. Wabi snorted, as if he couldn't stand Gu Meng Meng and Elvis acting like idiots in front of him. He walked in front of Gu Meng Meng and smiled coldly, before reaching out to strangle Elvis's neck. Gu Meng Meng jumped in fright and hurriedly said, "Little shit, what are you doing? Quickly let go." Wabi maintained his faint smile as he tightened his grip on Gu Meng Meng. Elvis's muscles tensed up. He was afraid of hurting Gu Meng Meng in his arms, so he first put her down, before saying with much difficulty, "Step back." Gu Meng Meng didn't understand why Wabi suddenly attacked Elvis, but she knew Elvis had the powers of a beast king. In such a situation, it was best for her to step back so that Elvis could easily retaliate without worrying about her. Gu Meng Meng followed his instructions and took a few steps back. Elvis grabbed Wabi's hand in an attempt to break free, but it was clearly to no avail. Elvis raised a leg to kick Wabi's chest, but Wabi didn't budge at all. This was not right. Wabi was a 5th-level beast, while Elvis was a beast king. The current situation, Wabi didn't care about Elvis's attack at all. He just turned to look at Gu Meng Meng and said, "Don't you intend to try your fury of the beast king?" Gu Meng Meng instinctively clutched the back of her neck. She saw that Elvis's face had already turned purple. Wabi was really going to kill him. Gritting her teeth, Gu Meng Meng said, "Wabi, let go." But Wabi only laughed coldly. Not only did he not loosen his grip, he turned Elvis around and walked step by step towards Gu Meng Meng. Until he was 1 step away from Gu Meng Meng, he loosened his fingers and the unconscious Elvis fell to the ground with a thud. Wabi's eyes widened. "Do you understand now?" Wabi asked softly. Gu Meng Meng frowned and shook her head. She remembered that when she had just retrieved the soul of the forest, she had unintentionally shouted at Wabi and he had been pinned to the ground by the Snake King's suppressive force. After that, she didn't dare to shout at Wabi in front of him, afraid that he would be hurt by her unintentionally. But today, Gu Meng Meng touched the back of her neck and said tentatively, "The mark on my neck has changed again. It has degenerated into Snake's guardian mark and is no longer the family mark of the snake tribe, right? Not too stupid." Wabi raised his brows in approval. Gu Meng Meng knew that Elvis was a wolf and could not tell the difference between snakes, so he did not know the change in the mark on the back of her neck. But Wabi was a snake. In his eyes, this change was very clear. With her hands hanging by her sides, Gu Meng Meng felt empty in her heart. Some things really couldn't be solved by running away. No matter how much she wanted to pretend that she didn't find out, she couldn't continue lying to herself forever. This was not the first time Wabi and Elvis had fought. Before they went to the Mecca Desert, they almost killed each other. But a near miss was a near miss. Although their fighting style was ruthless, it did not carry killing intent. But just now, Wabi's expression was clearly that of, "It doesn't matter even if I kill him." Gu Meng Meng had always known that snakes were cold by nature. However, because little shit cared about her, he also took care of the people around her. She would do this to Elvis, not her little shit. Looking up, Gu Meng Meng gazed at Wabi quietly. "You are not my little shit, and should not be Wabi either. Who exactly are you?" Chapter 1527. Wabi smiled with a hint of playfulness. "Although I don't like this title, I am indeed little shit and also Wabi, but I guess you are asking about my other identity, the identity I just retrieved from the Moda Mountains." "You are." Gu Meng Meng's eyes widened as she blurted out a name in disbelief. "Whales." Wabi raised his brows and nodded with a chuckle. "You resurrected." Gu Meng Meng's face was filled with shock. This news was too shocking to her. Although Gregory had told her that whales would resurrect and the beast deity had also said so. Even she had been constantly hypnotizing herself to tell herself that he would really resurrect. But when this person who had been dead for 1,000 years appeared in front of her, Gu Mengmeng still felt a huge impact. Wabi seemed to be seriously considering Gu Mengmeng's question. After thinking for a while, he laughed coldly. Looking at my current state, I don't think I have resurrected. At most, I have woken up. Gu Mengmeng frowned with an urgent expression. She asked worriedly, then what about little shit? Is it that once you're completely resurrected, little shit will disappear forever? Wabi, oh, no, maybe from now on, she had to call him Wales. Wales bent forward to look at Gu Mengmeng's eyes. He probed the confusion in her gaze and asked, Wabi is me when I was in deep sleep. I am the Wabi after I woke up. I remember everything that happened during my deep sleep clearly, so I don't think I disappeared. But there is one thing I feel I should warn you about: don't treat me like that fool who always revolves around you. That kind of foolish way of living is not my style. And those little things around you better not jump around in front of me again. Otherwise, I may not be so patient to talk nonsense with you next time. As Wales spoke, he looked coldly at Elvis, who was lying on the ground. Since that's the case, why did you come back? Gu Mengmeng took a step forward and stared straight into Wales' eyes. You, not only do you have little shit's memories, you also have little shit's feelings, right? Little shit was worried about me and was afraid that I would worry if he suddenly disappeared. So you came back to see me to let me know that you are safe, right? Wales didn't deny it and just smiled. You have such a rich imagination. It would be a pity not to be a scriptwriter. I haven't heard such sarcastic words in the last 4 years, right? It seemed that this was the real Wales. After all, only he, Wang Xiaoxin's partner, would know about the future profession of screenwriter. Then tell me, why did you come back? Gu Mengmeng did not give up. Wales' gaze landed on Gu Mengmeng's face and he said honestly, you are the key to my revival. If I want to see her again, I have to protect you and ensure that you are safe and sound. I have to successfully gather the 7 treasures. Wales' gaze landed on Gu Mengmeng's face. That's all. Gu Mengmeng did not believe him. Wales said lazily, don't you have her psychological knowledge? It should be easy for you to discern the true from the false, right? In other words, it was up to you to guess whether it was true or not. Gu Mengmeng's body stiffened, as if someone had sucked all the energy out of her. Wales might have little shit's memories, but he really did not have little shit's feelings. If it was little shit, he would definitely not talk to her like this. Chapter 15:28. Leah came out of the stone castle after tending to Oraton's injuries. He had heard the entire conversation between Wales and Gu Mengmeng, so he didn't say much. He just helped Gu Mengmeng move Elvis to a shady place. Don't worry, it's fine. Elvis will wake up soon. By then, we will go with you to settle the score with Cole and help Oraton vent his anger, all right? Gu Mengmeng nodded, her face blushing. Leah rubbed Gu Mengmeng's little head. Since Wabi is Wales and this is his original appearance, as friends, we can only accept it, right? Moreover, his safety is the most important thing. Gu Mengmeng leaned her head against Lee's chest. I know, I understand the logic, but I just feel very uncomfortable seeing little shit like this. It's as if I've already lost him. Leah chuckled and tapped Gu Mengmeng's little nose. You are the one who can't see the situation clearly. Ha! Gu Mengmeng didn't understand. Leah said, what did he say just now? You are the key to his revival, so he has to protect you and ensure your safety. These words, even if you want to deceive those 2 little wolf cubs, Jiaoyu or Qi Xian, they won't believe you. Gu Mengmeng was at a loss. She looked at Leah quietly with faint anticipation, waiting for him to continue. Leah continued explaining. If he doesn't appear, there will be 3 beast kings in the beast world, you, Elvis and Cole. If the three of you really fight with your lives on the line, your skills will be evenly matched. But Elvis will protect you no matter what. Cole is no match for the two of you, especially now that you have wings and can fly. It's impossible for Cole to hurt you. So, even if he doesn't protect you, you will still be safe. But he still came back just because he is worried about you. If he only has Wabiai's memories and not his feelings, why would he do this? Gu Mengmeng said, but just now, don't forget, he's Wang Xiaoxin's partner. He's been by Wang Xiaoxin's side for many years. He definitely knows as much about psychology as you do. Leah smiled and continued, moreover, even if what he said was true and he only came back to help you successfully obtain the 7 treasures, wouldn't it be better if he didn't show himself? After all, it was the most advantageous situation for the enemy to be out in the open while they were in the dark. Hiding themselves, catching the enemy off guard, and dealing a fatal blow was the usual method of snakes. But he appeared so openly. Tell me, why do you think so? The smile on Gu Mingming's face gradually spread and her gaze brightened up. He was afraid that I would be worried about little shit, so he came back to tell me that he was safe and sound and that there was no need to worry. Leah nodded. You sound so cold and heartless, but didn't you still bring Oriton back? Snakes are cold-blooded by nature and are never a race that likes to meddle in other people's business. If it weren't for you, he wouldn't have even looked at Oriton. At this thought, Gu Mengmeng suddenly smiled. Chapter 1529. Seeing that the knot in Gu Mingming's heart had been untied, Leah also smiled. They didn't notice that at the corner of the 2nd floor, the snake stuck out its tongue, turned its head, and threw down a faint sentence, self-righteous. However, the corners of its lips were filled with a smile, and its eyes were filled with a different kind of gentleness. Elvis didn't sleep for long. About half an hour later, he slowly opened his eyes. He held his forehead and shook his head to wake himself up. Then, he fixed his gaze on Gu Mengmeng and asked worriedly, "Are you all right?" Gu Mengmeng smiled and shook her head. "I'm fine, he won't hurt me." Elvis was still skeptical. Leah then told Elvis about his analysis with Gu Mengmeng. Although Elvis didn't quite understand what a tsundra was, but since Leah and Gu Mengmeng had agreed on something, it would not be wrong. So, he didn't dwell on it any further. It was common for males to fight and kill each other. Elvis also wouldn't bear a grudge against Wabiai for choking him unconscious. At most, he would just choke him back next time. But there was no need to wait for Cole to beat Oriton up. This time, he had to return the favor. Elvis stretched his muscles and realized that he didn't feel any discomfort. So, he carried Gu Mengmeng and brought Leah to where the Fox clan lived. But when they reached the borders of the territory, they realized that the Fox clan was already in a mess. Gu Mengmeng was dumbfounded. She thought to herself, could it be that the other members of the Wolf clan had already come to cause trouble? Scanning the area, she didn't see any Wolf clan members. Leah casually grabbed a fox who was rushing off somewhere and asked, "What's going on?" "Ninth Highness, this." That fox knew that Leah and Cole were not on the same side. Although the Wolf clan and Fox clan both lived in Sauder, they were on opposing sides. So, he shut his mouth and looked at Elvis with a troubled expression. Gu Mengmeng waved her hands. "Forget it if you don't want to say. Let's go and see for ourselves." Leah shrugged his shoulders nonchalantly and let go of her. But that fox did not leave. Instead, he stretched out his arm and blocked their path. He stuttered, "It's not convenient for the mighty Fox King to meet guests now, you guys, please go back." Gu Mengmeng found it funny that he was not afraid of death. Holding her chin, she looked at the little fox in front of her and said, "Do you think you can stop me?" "Lord Emissary, please Please don't make things difficult for me. Fox King, it's really not convenient for him to see guests. The little fox was shivering, clearly afraid. Gu Meng Meng smiled scornfully and said, "Don't tell me it's inconvenient, because you know I'm here. When you're Wusong, it seems quite convenient." Leah flashed his claws and smiled faintly. "Are you going to scram or do you want me to do it?" This is the territory of the Fox clan, you can't, I'm also a fox." Leah narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. "I'm from the same clan as your Fox King. We're siblings." With that, Leah waved his claws and that little fox was flung to the side. The foxes, who were already in a mess, all walked forward to form a meat wall to block the way. Gu Meng Meng chuckled. She did not understand what Cole was trying to do. The strongest among these foxes was only 3rd level. Not to mention herself and Elvis, these 2 beast kings, even Leah, and the rest could not stop them. This was basically sending them to their deaths. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.